IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
H.O. Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion.
With Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
I am H.O. Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion.
With Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
I am H.O. Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion.
With Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 1013 Jams.
is assigned to that child to speak up for their best interests throughout their time in the system. So they're getting to know the child, they're getting to know their family, they're getting to know everything they can about that child's story, and then they're telling that child's story to the court, because you want the court to have as much information about a child and a family when they're making a decision that could alter the course of that child's life or that family's life. And so we are bringing those volunteers into the courtroom and helping them to really relay the story of children.
What's the difference between that and a guardian ad litem?
Okay, yeah, good question. A guardian ad litem in Virginia has to be an attorney.
Okay.
So our volunteers, like y'all, could be volunteers. Anyone can be a volunteer for CASA. They have to go through our training, which is pretty extensive, and a background check. We're talking about working with kids, so we've got to abide by some protections. But that's the biggest difference, is that a guardian ad litem is a lawyer in Virginia. Another big difference, Razor, is that a guardian ad litem often has a pretty stacked caseload. And so they're working with more than one child, more than two siblings at a time. Our CASAs are really focused on one child or one family unit. And they stick with that child or family unit throughout the time of the case. So they're not, their attention is not divided. They are focused and digging deep on that one kiddo or their sibling.
What's that?
Thank you for that introduction. And we do have Miss Max joining us as well. Can't wait to hear. All right, Miss Max, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are y'all?
Awesome, Miss Max. And Miss Max, correct me if I'm wrong. I may have misspoken, but but I think in your heyday you had some involvement with Piedmont CASA. Was that correct?
Well,
Like some former employment?
a number of years ago, I interviewed the director there for a class I was taking at PCC, and then something not in an official capacity. No, I didn't work for CASA. Yeah, I didn't serve as a CASA volunteer.
Gotcha.
Charles Garrett had the IRS on you, man. Wonder where the money at, Miss Max.
That's why I asked. I wanted to make sure I had that straight before I kept that narrative going. So I'm curious about in Charlottesville, because looking at the website, the children that you serve, it talks about kids and families that live at the intersection of poverty, race, sexism, ableism, and like the effects of the pandemic and whatnot. So just in Charlottesville specific, because I know like these services are offered in different jurisdictions, different areas. Is there a particular initiative, like a specific some goals that you may have here in Charlottesville that's affecting our community, maybe more than others?
Well, our goal is really always just to be a voice for the child throughout the process, and to be a connector for that child or their family for supports and services. So one initiative that I didn't mention when I first started talking was our Bridges to Success program. So that is not a volunteer program. It's a staffed program and I have three not advocates, but holistic mentors who work with older youth who are aging out of foster care. And so these are kids who are a little bit older, who are looking at kind of walking into adulthood without the support of their family or a foster family or adoptive family. And my mentors are working with them on just about everything: applying for colleges, applying for jobs, all the things that you got to do to make it every day. And they're really working to support them. Now, that's not specific to Charlottesville, but we do have a number of youth who we're working with here in Charlottesville, as well as the surrounding counties. We take them as they come to us. So we are really meeting the kids and the families where they are and trying to connect them with supports and services so that they can be successful, so those kids can find permanent, loving homes where they can thrive. We're really out there doing that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Razor.
All right. What Charles just described, how did you say that, Charles? The crossway between what?
Yeah, so straight from the website,
what does it say?
Our kids and families live at the intersection of
the intersection.
Yeah,
gotcha. All right, now I was just sitting there thinking, if we use like say when you're driving, you come up to an intersection and it's a three-way intersection. People really don't know what to do, right? All the things that Charles named, if you have a child that has more one of those barriers to overcome, and he's a child, he's only been on the earth, or she has only been on the earth so long, how can they possibly, if you're just there to tell their story, how can they possibly look towards a positive outcome? Or how do you, I guess, what I'm really asking is, how do you keep them from going into the prison pipeline when they're a child having so much to deal with and really no support where they would want their support coming from home?
If I could piggyback on what Razor just said, because I actually just had a conversation with someone last night where they asked me what I thought about adoption. And so what I've heard just in the short time I've joined the interview is talking about doing what's in the best interest of the child. And so I think that's a big question of what is actually in the best interest of a child, because, you know, people arguably certain actions could be could have an adverse effect either on the child or their family unit or what have you. So just to kind of piggyback on what Razor said, and maybe you can dig a little deeper into what it actually means to be acting on the child's behalf and determining the best possible, you know, answer to whatever problem that they are currently dealing with.
Yeah, those Max and Razor, those are great questions. And what I want to say is that there's no answer that applies across the board, right? It is about an individualized, independent, facts-based approach to getting to know what exactly is going on with that child. So, you know, when Charles was reading about that and talking about you know, poverty and racism and ableism and all of these things, what we know is that the system is set up to perpetuate things like that often. The system is set up to perpetuate racism, to perpetuate poverty. But CASA is independent of the system.
Okay.
We are an independent voice. And so the story that we tell is based on our getting to know that child through monthly or more often meetings with the child. We require that of our CASAs. We require them to get to know all the players in that child's life so that they really can get a clear-eyed, again, independent view of what's going on and then make recommendations. So it's hard to say this, you know, this one thing is in the best interest because it looks really different for each child. I think in all of our cases, we are looking at both how can a family come back together when this child's been placed in foster care? Can we reunite can we get this child back home, right? Because I think what we all know is a reunited family, that may be the one thing that across the board is in the best interest if it can be done in a safe way.
You're strengthening the family.
Right.
How difficult is that for you? Because I mean, I'm gonna reach for a second. You don't look like the children that you're helping, right?
You're right.
So how difficult? Often, a lot of times in our community, and I'm just be frank with you, we feel that white people have too much say so over what goes on in our community, right? But it's not a popular thing to say. But I'm also asking, how difficult is it when you generally want to help and you know that people are looking at you with a side eye, even though you're like, look, I'm the only thing in between you and you getting shipped off and y'all never being stuck together again. But you're not able to say that because then you'll be judged because you're Caucasian lady.
Well, Razor, I think that's a really great question, right? I think one of the things that I want to say to that point is that we're always looking to bring in new volunteers.
Yeah, that's key.
And to find volunteers from all different backgrounds, certainly backgrounds different from my own.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
And to really diversify our volunteer base. I think that what so two things to your question of how do we kind of become, what I'm hearing is maybe how do we become trusted
Right.
when we're from a different background.
Right. Because honestly, I
Right.
might speak to somebody that looks just like you, and you might be like, "Hey, how you doing?" I speak to the next lady that looks just like you, and she rolls her eyes.
Right.
We can't really see racism.
So the two things I'll say to that is, one, we work really, really hard during our training and screening process to educate our volunteers about implicit bias, about the history of race and racism in our community. We've really partnered with the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center to learn more about our community specifically,
Gotcha.
and to teach our volunteers about that. So that's the first thing that's the first point I was gonna make.
Yeah.
The second point was, I think that it's about consistency.
Mhm.
And that is something that our volunteers bring to the table, that they're there and they keep going back.
Okay.
And they keep showing up and they keep getting to know the child and their families. So they're not just there when court happens,
Gotcha.
right? They're not just showing up the day of court and being like, "Oh, tell me what happened over the past month." No, they're there and they're going to, IEP meetings
Okay.
or other hearings that a child might have, go into their home. We've worked with kids who are at Blue Ridge Detention Center.
Yeah.
They're going to meet them at Blue Ridge. They're really trying to show that they're going to be a consistent voice for that child. And that's, I think that's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. Like
Yeah,
that
it's
consistency,
important.
and raising to your question, I feel like consistency is another consistent thread that's missing.
Yeah.
To a lot of folks, there's a lot of kids in particular. It's like there's nobody consistent in their life,
Yeah.
right? But Kate, you got a couple of shout outs online too.
Oh, she doing a thing.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Karen wants to shout out Alan Hinch.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a CASA representative. And she also mentioned, the support of specific needs, I guess, to that question is also very important. Make sure specific needs. So, family, we are joined by Kate and Ricky, representing Piedmont CASA. Kate, you also doing a great job memorizing names. Like, you just met these people and you remember everybody's name. I couldn't do that. It's like,
I was like, "Hey, buddy. Hey, Miss Ma'am."
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, please do.
What
Please.
Razor was saying, that was a great question to raise. But one thing I think it would say, the volunteer stays with that kid
Okay.
through the entire process.
Okay.
And as we're talking about these kids neglected, abused, they want a constant. And I think that's one of the things that you mentioned. And
Yeah.
let's face it, someone who cares doesn't have a color.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Gotcha.
But it's a great way for someone to get involved, and
Yeah.
volunteers are needed. And the more people of color,
Yeah.
one of the questions that I ask is, how about the males and the people of color? What's the percentage? And
Yeah.
naturally, the more people of color and the more males, the better.
Yeah. I'd like to give you a little pushback on that, though, Ricky. I know you said that color loving somebody has no color, right?
Mhm.
But it does once it gets bad. Once
Oh,
it gets
yeah.
bad enough, because like when these kids out here shooting each other and jumping each other and beating each other in Charlottesville, I don't hear nobody hollering, "Where's the white man?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it does have a color. Like they are expecting black fathers and black men to step up and do
Absolutely.
things, right? So we can be advocates for CASA without actually working for CASA.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But that would be the only pushback that I would say. It does have a color when it gets bad enough.
Yeah, and I have a question for y'all too. Ableism. So when you talk about reaching people that are experiencing poverty, race, sexism, ableism. Like, what's the definition of ableism? That's not a term I hear a lot.
So,
How does Piedmont CASA define it?
So I think that's in our approach to families and understanding that all families look alike, and that so ableism I'm not going to do it justice,
Oh, you're good.
right? But I'm going to do my best.
Uh-huh.
So it's about accepting people with physical
Gotcha.
differences or mental health differences, and so what we really try to work with our CASAs on is understanding that families aren't going to, the next family is not going to look like my family or the next family or the next family. And that we really need to look for the strengths in every family.
Right.
And that those strengths may look different than the strengths in my family, but that's okay, that all families have strengths. And that's that's the lens that we need to be looking at, approaching families through, is a strengths-based lens.
Sort of building on those strengths. And you know, when we met, Kate, one of the things, speaking of that, is the branching out that you're doing and getting into more of the surrounding counties, you know, with your work. So I'm curious on sort of like how you all are balancing that right now. And you know, this is the time for a pitch as well. You know, for more volunteers that, you know, that may be listening, because, you know, one thing we talked about is how, like, not only on the race aspect of it, but like the socioeconomic piece of it, you know, like just the demographic of, if you go to a Madison County in the mountains versus being downtown Charlottesville, you know, totally different way you approach people. So I'm curious if you could share some of your approach there, or maybe even pitch to those who may be listening that could help out with that initiative.
Right. Thanks, Charles. So we're still in kind of baby steps on our expansion. But one of the things that has sat with me since joining Piedmont CASA was the fact that families and children who just lived over a county line did not have access to this independent voice on their behalf when they were going through this really difficult time and being involved in foster care. And so my organization and our board, we are in the process of looking to expand our services into Fluvanna, Madison, and Orange counties. And like I said, we're still baby step world. We're working on it. We're very optimistic. But what we know about these counties is that the supports and services that are available are dwindling, and that those counties care deeply about their kids. They care deeply about their kids, and we want to be able to be a voice for those kids too, in addition to the children that we're a voice for in the counties that we serve currently.
I got a question. When it comes to when when a company writes out like all the things that y'all do when it comes to ableism, do they write them for people who are investors or for people that need the help? Because until Charles asked, I didn't know what ableism was. So I'm just wondering, when y'all write these things out, do y'all write them so that the people that you're going to help can understand them? Or for who are they? Are they written to make the company look good?
No, Razor, we're working really hard on that, actually.
Well, get rid of that word.
Yeah, we're working really hard on trying to, we just actually, I'm looking at it right now in front of me, just redid our mission statement, our value statement. And one of my board members, she was like, hold on. We got to make sure this is accessible to, you know, a family member or a teenager or someone who comes on our website and needs to know what is a CASA. And so we really did try to be, you know, just you know, thoughtful about the way we wrote things. We also are really thoughtful about making things available in other languages. Our website has a tool at the top where you can translate the entire website into a different language. If you are from, you know, a Spanish-speaking household or another household that speaks, I think the language is available. It's a bunch of languages. We've also been working to translate some of the materials that we use with families. And, you know, since Charles encouraged me to plug earlier, I'm going to plug here. But we're always looking for volunteers who speak Spanish, who speak any other language. We have a significant immigrant population here in Charlottesville, families who've been brought from Afghanistan and other communities through the IRC. So if you are fluent in other languages, come and talk to us. Check out our website. We've got a volunteer class coming up here in April. We're interviewing people now for that volunteer class, because we do want to be accessible, and we want to be accessible to people in the way that makes sense for them. Right. Gotcha. So we meet people where they are, and that includes, you know, you started by talking about ableism, and I went down, you know, language path, but that includes being accessible to them regardless of their physical ability or any other ability.
And, Max, were you trying to chime in with something?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, so I know that your CASA serve on a volunteer basis. That's just the way the organization is structured, but I'm curious as to why this wouldn't be a paid type of thing. I've actually wondered that for several years now.
Max,
I mean, it's a lot of work. And
Yeah, you're not the only one wondering. I'll tell you, that's a conversation that's happening. CASA, we are part of a national organization. It's a conversation that's happening kind of from the bottom up and the top down with that whole group. For me, and I'm just speaking as Kate here, I'm not speaking for CASA or anything else, but for me, I think being a volunteer is important for two reasons. One, I think back to that independence that I mentioned earlier, that CASAs are really independent voices. I think that being a volunteer kind of fosters that. I think the other thing is it kind of communicates to children and families that these are folks who are really committed. I think when they are doing this as a volunteer and not paid. Not that people who earn a salary are not committed.
You
right?
got to clean it up, Kate.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
they ain't here for a paycheck.
No, I get it.
I get it. You can't be bought.
Right.
Yeah.
But and like I said, I'm just speaking for Kate when I say that. But
yeah, it's a fine line. I totally get it. Yeah, because you want to know that the people are there for the work, right? But at the same time, it's like there are some people who say, I would love to help, but I'm busy. Like if something has to, there has to be some more initiative. So so I know that's a balance in that.
Yeah,
I know.
That's rough.
yeah, and it's a hurdle for us, to be honest. I mean, it is no small commitment. The training alone is about 35 or so hours, and that takes time away from the job that brings in the money. And so it is something that we are thinking about a lot, about to the point we were talking about earlier about finding volunteers from different backgrounds. We've thought about can we retool things? Can we think about things in different ways? Can we make this just being a volunteer
because
more accessible?
Yeah, thank you. Because God bless anybody who, we talked about consistency. So God bless anybody who can say, wow, my time is getting even tighter. I got to reprioritize, and they still, like hold this, like in a high regard, right? But that would be the spot where I could just imagine, like that, no matter how small the stipend would be, for someone to be like, okay, like, well, I don't have to work a couple more hours because I'd rather do the Piedmont Concert, and of course I'm speaking to someone who's a part of different nonprofits and stuff like that. So I totally get, the struggle with that. But before we leave this topic and go more to Ricky, before we close out and talk about the breakfast, I think it's important to mention, like you said, you're independent, so you're not social service. I know that's something that sometimes like those lines may get blurred. But even though some of the work may look similar, you're separate. So that being the case with the independence, like what about the different mentoring groups around town? If it hasn't started, like what do you think about maybe initiative to figure out like, hey, if you're already mentoring kids and trying to help kids in this aspect, we also need help there.
Right. We partner a lot with some of the other organizations in town. I know, Robert Gray and the Uhuru Foundation. I mean, they're doing fantastic work.
Absolutely.
He and I've spent some time talking, and how can we find more opportunities to partner? The boxing gym.
What's his name?
Rivera.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, I mean, we
wartime fitness.
My coaches work with kids and with him to get some of those older kids I was talking about in the Bridges to Success program who work with my coaches to get in there. It is for those kids, my coaches are really working on trying to find them connections to the community. How can we get them involved in something that they're excited about?
Yeah.
right? That they enjoy and find, it helps them find adult mentors, helps them just feel connected to this community. So we're always looking to partner with folks and really working on those connections.
There's a gentleman
I
named
wanted to
Carl
put that out
Brown Carl Brown has a program called the Be Real program
Oh,
that teaches them how. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Right now. That teaches them how to take the goals that they have for themselves, formulate those into not just thought, but a process that they can work on, and then they revisit it, and then they teach it, and then they build their own their ecosystem around them.
that sounds great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really similar to what our coaches are doing.
Okay.
But it sounds like we need to connect
Yep.
with Mr.
Yep.
Brown
Yeah.
for sure.
So lastly, unless Max or Reza had anything else, want to take a quick break and get right back to Ricky and the breakfast. Does that sound
Yeah.
good? So before we do that though, like with all that's going on in our community, with the number of homicides already surpassing total of last year, a lot of what your work is about and for, I personally feel like that those issues are what lead to crime. Like the exact issues that you all are trying to get kids out of, right? So any good word like that you could share with the community like would be awesome, or any just word of encouragement, also, because I feel like that yeah, like a lot of the kids that are finding themselves involved in illegal activities, are kids that a group like Piedmont CASA, like could be serving, could be helping. So please share your thoughts on that.
Right. Oh gosh. Whew. I think that what I'll say is we're a part of the broader community,
Mhm.
and we partner with other organizations that are serving kids in a group called the Trauma Informed Community Network.
Mhm.
And that all is about taking a really trauma informed approach to our needs as a community and our kids' needs as well as the adults' needs. And I think the more that we can do to learn about the trauma that and I'm including everyone sitting here,
Absolutely.
everyone have been through over the past 2 or so years with COVID and everything else that's going on, will help us to chart a course forward. And the more we can do to really learn about that, to learn trauma-informed approaches, to support those approaches. And, CASA is just one little piece of that puzzle. There's so many other folks who are doing that important work here.
Yep.
The better. And I think bringing those services and supports to the kids and families that need it. And I think CASA's piece of that is being the communicator, right? Is really being the one who gathers the information and then tells the story for these kiddos. And I think the sooner that we can tell the story and get supports and services that are trauma informed in place, the better. And so that, I don't know, Charles, I mean, it's heartbreakingly hard.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Right.
It's, Charles, one thing, if I can say this, and I know this won't be popular, and Charles, we can wrap up after this, is that I think we do a good job of being reactive and not proactive, one. And two, I really haven't heard of anyone sitting down and asking the kids what they want.
Yeah.
Them telling you a story after they've been through the trauma is different than getting to just putting it out there, like, just talking to them. Because on one of my earlier morning shows about a month ago, young guy came on and he said the disconnect for him and his surroundings was that the older people like me can tell them what they're doing wrong, but you never show me where you are like me so I can make the connection as to how I go. So I thought that was very impactful for him to be able to look me in the eyes and say that, like, how can I listen to you when you won't even tell me the truth about who you were?
Right.
So I think that we're not proactive enough before the trauma comes.
Yeah, and that's very important. And to Kate's point is like that is technically for someone else. You know what I mean? Because for I'm just saying, in the perfect world, we got all of our resources and our organizations together. You know, I feel like Piedmont Casa would be the ones that would then be that representation, that
Absolutely.
voice. You know,
Absolutely.
but yeah, but there's so many pieces to this puzzle, and Kayla and Ricky, I'm just glad that y'all are willing to be a part of being a part of.
Charles, I can't wait till we get Ricky. He's sitting back there all clean and whatnot, nails manicured, watch on time. You know what I mean? I feel some type way about that.
So yeah,
like a Max watch on time.
So family, we are joined by Ricky at Piedmont Casa, and gonna be right back at, to close up, and Ricky can tell us more about the March Madness breakfast brunch, or bracket madness breakfast. I turn that all. Yeah, but it's IMHO Talk Show. We still here, y'all. Stay tuned.
The all new 101.3 Jams, R&B, hip hop, and classics.
I agree.
Careers or in person. Max Loadout in Charlesville can be found on 29 North and 7 Courts and always at outback.com.
Hold on, wait. You're listening to In My Humble
We are back like we never left. I am HO Talk Show. And yes, Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor, and we are joined by Kate and Ricky of Piedmont Casa. Been great discussion. We appreciate having y'all. As we say this, and definitely want to shout out as our listeners have been chiming in. We do have so much resource here in the city of Charlottesville. And as you'll see throughout the rest of the show, as well as we hope you've been seeing and hearing since we've been on air, but with Piedmont Casa and just talking about like the pieces to this puzzle of making our community better, like leaving it better than we found it, is so important. And, Ray, that's why I always say that we never should point the finger talking about, well, I'm doing better or I'm doing more than this organization or that person, because we all play a part, right? And so definitely,
One body.
Yeah, one body, many parts. And so definitely want to shout out Amanda chimed in, and as we mentioned, Robert Gray, Uhuru, George Rivera, Wartime Fitness, Nicholas Fagans with Peace in the Streets. So, I wanted to mention those names again, and thank you, Amanda, for tuning in, because it's just so important that we continue to encourage each other, because we definitely need each other in this work. So that being said, when it comes to not only volunteering and helping out, the donors are a big part of and definitely part of the lifeblood of any successful organization as well. And one way that Piedmont Casa raises funds through their Jimmy the Magic Man Miller's bracket breakfast for Piedmont Casa. And so, I kick it back over to Kate and Ricky, and maybe this may be where Ricky wants to chime in and give us a little more background on that event.
Exactly. I was excited when Jimmy, you reached out to me to join the planning for this great event. And like you said, you do have to have fundraising and the resources for such a great event like Casa. And I was glad to be able to join Kate here. And the event will be held at Boar's Head on Monday, March 13th. And that will be from 7:30 to 8:30. Okay. And sponsors are still available. Individual tickets are still available. And it's a great event. We have President Ryan. We have John Grissom. We have a guest speaker this year, Joe Lenardi, who is Mr. ESPN Bracket Buster. Okay, that's right. He will be zooming in, so he's going to work all night Sunday and get up for a great organization. He didn't do a lot of events like this, but he knew what a great event, and with an inside source. So he's going to get up in the morning and give us some insight on Monday morning. So we still need to fill a room. We talked about what a great organization, great leadership. We do have a great planning committee, so it should it'll be a great breakfast for a great cause, and we hope people will come out and support.
What's on the breakfast? What's on the breakfast? Talk to me. What's on the menu?
Got some home fries. I love home fries.
They got home fries, Charles. And the bacon is like, I don't know, it's something of myth or legend or something.
That sounds like slab bacon.
We're just talking about this bacon.
Black people know about slab bacon now.
Like you've never had it. I wanted to mention three of the other three panelists too. We've got Debbie Stroman. So Debbie was a player on the women's basketball team, I think back in your day, Ricky. So Ricky's saying 1982. Ricky didn't mention that he played on the UVA basketball team. Yeah. So Debbie was a player. Caroline Darney, she's a female sports writer, and then Macon Gunter is a local real estate agent, but on the side, he has done some statistician work in the past for the basketball team. You know how much I guess I'll speak for myself, how much I love the Who's, how much some of us love the Who's around here and root for them. But
Debbie Ryan will also.
Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
We have Debbie Ryan will be there in attendance, and also Barry Parkhill. Yeah, so will be there as well. So, and we'll see if we can get Ralph Sampson to make an appearance. So fingers crossed. So.
Yeah, next time I'm over there at the Tap House, I may have to nudge him and tell him you said get over there. So.
Charles, you short like me. What you gonna nudge his elbow? Push him on his hip.
So for those though that want to get a ticket, or be a sponsor or whatever the case may be, do they go to the Piedmont Casa PC I'm sorry, pcasa.org. Is that how you
Yeah,
get them? Okay.
pcasa.org. The information's all right there. And yeah, it's just a good time. I'm a little new to CASA, so last year was my first bracket breakfast, and I was pretty blown away. Not being the basketball fan that maybe some other people in my household are, but it was a good time and lots of inside scoop about what folks are thinking about the March Madness tournament.
Right.
Good work.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, we do have gift prizes, right? We have raffles. We will have raffles there as well. So we're looking for a full house. So we hope people will come out. Like you said, good breakfast, razor bacon, eggs, and all the good things.
Max asked about the breakfast.
To fill you up.
I like
we
steak and eggs myself.
We are cognizant that people have to go to work. So we try to get you in and out. Try to wrap it up so you can go have a productive Mondays. But it is, to say that date again, it is Monday, right after all the championship. Usually it's championship Sunday or Saturday. So it is Monday, the 13th, and you fill out your bracket, and it's exciting. And who doesn't fill out a basketball bracket?
Right.
Oh yeah, and Ricky raises a really good point. So part of this is not just the event, but we have a bracket tournament that we have that goes. So folks who come, they participate in this bracket competition. The grand prize of which is a really big television. I don't know how big, I should know, but donated to us by Crutchfield. And so there's prizes along the way for this kind of insider bracket tournament. It's a lot of fun. Some prizes just for being there and participating, but lots of fun to be had the day of, and then throughout the tournament.
I love it.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, and the last question I have is, so I take it, is this considered an adult event, or if someone wanted to bring youth for a table that they purchase, are there youth there as well, or all adults?
There were not kiddos there last year, but I think that if a kid is really into basketball, this is totally a kid-friendly event. I mean, it's in the weeds about basketball, so they need to get it, but totally kid-friendly, especially for those basketball lovers out there.
Awesome. Well, Kate and Ricky, thank you all for joining us once again. Please stay in touch. Let's definitely build together and get this work done. It's definitely needed.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for what you do.
That was great, y'all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, both.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that, and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in the city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have a interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that black people, and I would say, and I would argue especially black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay aligned with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.
Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
Only on 101.3.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor, still here, still standing. Yeah, thank y'all, man, for tuning in. You can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Tell a friend that we are live and well. And if you're not in our local 101 Jams listening area, definitely can stream that WVAI. You can also stream IMHO Talk Show on your choice of platform. Ain't that right, Razor?
Absolutely.
Man, and like I said, we're gonna keep things rolling here, man. So delighted again, once again to be talking with change makers right here within our community. Razor and I were just poking fun at this brother right here because it's like he like we need to give him a credit card. I ain't made sure a credit card for his frequent flyer amount on the airways of WVAI. None other than Daniel Fairley, Mr. Black Male Achievement himself.
I am Facebook friends with Daniel, and I just want to say that he has the most adorable little girl ever. So cute.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Max.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to have these brothers on, Daniel as well as Fernando Gray, Fur Cuts himself. Fern, can you hear us, my man?
Yeah, how you doing? I appreciate you guys having us on.
Good stuff, man. Yes, indeed. Thank you for all that you do. And for those who may not know, and Daniel and Fernando can give us a little more of the background, but you two have teamed up, along with the principals, the great men, I must say, in our city schools, between the superintendent, the principal of our city high school, as well as our middle school, and of course their whole staff and faculty, trying to do their part. But you're providing the free haircuts through House of Cuts, Fernando's shop. And so kind of tell us like how that came to be and the impact, that's intended with the free cut program.
Absolutely, I can go ahead and get started. So with the 100 Cuts program, it kind of started really with like Fur and I just kind of sitting outside the barbershop after I got my hair cut one day. Shout out to my barber, Julian, he out there. But anyway, so we were sitting outside the shop one day and we were just kind of like sitting there wondering like, man, like it was right after a shot was fired just outside the shop, right near 10th and Page. And we were just kind of talking like, yo, this is wild, man. Like this is people in broad daylight, kids are getting guns. Like it was really scary. And knowing that was hard for kids to kind of be around. And we were like, how are we going to support these kids? We know that like there's always going to be kind of an aftermath, right? But how do we do something that's preventative? How do we make sure that they feel like they are supported, loved, cared about, and thought about as our community, right? We need to make sure that they feel like they're welcome to our community and that they're an asset to our community and not a liability, as my friend Will Jones once said. Like it is something that really impacted both of us. And so I was like, Fur, like, I don't know what to do. Like I can gather people. I'm good at gathering people. And then Fur was like, well, I got some clippers. Like, so let's go. Right? And so that's kind of like how it got started, was like us talking about that at the barbershop. And then we got everybody together. The Charlottesville Alliance for Black Male Achievement. We had a meeting in this past November, kind of getting together Black leaders, Black men around the community to talk through just kind of like issues that we're facing. But it really was like the beginning was me sitting there talking to Fur, thinking about how do we use our powers and our tools and our specialties to then impact our community.
Also, and Fur, I want to kick it to you because, as Razor reminds us, like the barbershop is like so much of a sanctuary for Black men. So like, what does this mean to you, like to take your shop and to be a part of a community initiative like this?
So, barbering is everything to me. I've been doing hair for 10 years, about 8 years professionally. And barbering has honestly saved my life personally. You know what I'm saying? I came up under Will Jones, a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine. Daniel said, a friend of his. I'm sure you guys know Will, of course.
Absolutely.
With prolific running. But being under him, he was very passionate about his community, which in turn led me to be very passionate about my community. And when we saw, these issues, happening, there was just something that we had to do. And there is no safer place for people of color to go to than the barbershop. So, that's what I could provide. I have the space and I have a team and we have skills. That's how I know how to give back to the community. And that's how I know how to use my skill set to touch people and to bless people. So when me and Daniel came together, like I told him, this is what I could offer. I know we do this good. We have a history of doing, some community give backs with back to school bashes and other events like that. So it was almost natural for Daniel and I to really come together and, make this happen with the barbershop. But it's so special that the barbershop is that place for people of color to come to and feel safe, that we're just really opening our doors, during this time.
So, Fernando, if you feel comfortable, could you share a little bit about how barbering kind of saved your life? I think that it just takes things to the next level in terms of the people that we're trying to connect with and reach, if they can see or hear themselves in someone else's story and see them be productive and, you live a fulfilling life. So whatever you're comfortable with sharing. I don't know what, maybe I'm asking the wrong type of question.
No,
but...
of course. No, I got an answer for you. So barbering is obtaining my barber license was the first piece of paper that I was, able to ever get. I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have a GED. I don't have a college diploma or anything like that. So when I was, 17 years old, that's when I first made it to the barbershop working full time. And I had left school to become a barber full time because I didn't know what else I was going to do with my life at all. You know what I'm saying? I was just running around doing whatever. Will took me under his wing and, I took advantage of that opportunity. And, I had developed a love for barbering growing up when I was 14, 15, 16, and ended up in barber school. So as that love grew, and I honestly did not know what else to do. School was not for me. That was not an option for me. Like I knew I was not gonna further my education academically. So I had took the opportunity and I went full force with it. That was my plan A. That was my plan B. That was my plan C. So I honed the craft as best as I could. I made sure I was there every day. And being there every day has kept me out, from a lot of different situations. It also taught me a lot of things about being a man, building with other people of the community, other members of the community. It taught me networking. It taught me marketing. It taught me a lot of, just of being a man and a businessman. And I am just so grateful for the craft itself for, teaching me those things.
Yeah. Man, something special. Yeah. Thank you. Something so special about that is like that whole each one teach one model that I hear there. And like I'm sure there's so many people that's not even aware, and I'm sure there's even more degrees of separation to that story. But the fact that like we've mentioned Will multiple times, right? Wow, right. And then how Will mentored him, how I know Fernando has mentored many, you know what I mean? And so it's like man, like that's what we mean by we're all pieces of this puzzle, and like we have a lasting effect on everybody that you cross paths with. I know Razor got to have a lot, but one thing that I wanted to add though is because it's on my heart for is like, you ever thought about opening like something like a school or something of that nature? Because I hear like a lot of young guys like interested in barbering, and I know you even have young guys like that you've trained in your shop. But I even think about how Daniel, how Antoine did culinary concepts. I'm like with the number of young people that I hear that wants to get in I'm like to that type of field.
Hey man, you can't be getting off on my
look.
You're skipping ahead.
Hey, look, intelligent minds, Razor. Intelligent minds.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So man, you are like right on. And so speaking of Will Jones and speaking of honestly Fernando's experience with the K-Tech barbering program, Fernando was actually a part of the last class of men to go through and people to go through the K-Tech barbering program. And so hearing that, I was like, that don't sound right. That don't sound like that's something that we should be doing like in our community when we know that there are people that are here that are looking and that are trying to find a way out, trying to find a way to support themselves that is in line with what they want to do, in line with hanging out with their friends, being the best that they can do, hustling for what they need and what they want. Like, so we actually started a conversation, myself, Fernando, Will, and Stephanie Carter over at K-Tech. And so we're now in the part of our planning stages where we now have we're getting Sarad Davenport on board because he actually helped Antoine with a lot of what he was doing and getting him set up and kind of doing the background research on what is it like to build a culinary studio, what is it like to build a job training program, how do you want to focus life skills and into culinary arts. So we're starting to build this team of people that are actually going to be focused on rebuilding and revitalizing the K-Tech barbering program.
Yeah, man, that is awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I definitely don't want to overlook K-Tech. I know that's benefited a lot of people, but at the same time, I'm glad y'all are doing that because so many times, like the little nuances that our community needs, a lot of times gets left out of some of the bigger, more major programs until you get people like all the gentlemen you just named at the table to make sure that it's done right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's really honestly like that is right now, like we're kind of working on the fish, right? We know that there are kids that are here that need help right here, right now. There's kids that are going through a bad day that a haircut would change around and say, you know what, I'm not gonna go fight that guy. You know what, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and be on Snapchat, you know, hang out with my friends. Like you have those moments that are changed with the students that are in there in the barber's chair. When you see them come out of that chair, they have an air of invincibility about them. They feel like, man, you can't tell me nothing. Like I just got a fresh cut.
That's right. That's right. That's
fresh fur cut. You're gonna tell, like, come on, man. Like, so they just be gassing each other up when we're over there seeing them coming out of the chairs at the Buford event, at the CHS event. And so we're taking that option, right? And we're saying, how do we not just work on these fish that are right here, but how do we start really working upstream, right? And then that's where the Will Jones, who actually will be hopefully heading the barbering program at K-Tech. Yeah, right. I mean, so it is like it's a lot of things are coming together right now, and in a space when our community needs them. And it's so funny because, like, again, Fern and I have been talking for a while. We've had a couple of community events, and they really just kind of started from like thinking about, yo, what, like this is an incredible opportunity. Like everyone needs a haircut. Everyone needs to feel kind of that feeling of invincibility, that feeling of love and being cared for, and that grooming that comes from being in a barbershop. Not to mention all of the other cultural aspects that come from being a part of a shop of young men that are there, that are boosting each other up, that are working together on something, that are honing in their craft. You have all of those different aspects coming together, not to mention the kind of counseling and mental health aspect that comes with the barbering kind of profession itself. So we're saying, how do we take all of that energy and start actually building the barbers for our community? How do we start building the barbers that are going to be trained in understanding mental health awareness, trained in counseling, trained in entrepreneurship, like getting them all of those skills that they are going to need to then be not just regular barbers that are doing amazing work, but like trying to actually get them to do owning their own shops, right? Trying to have more, like Will Jones has created literally like spawns of barbershops, like, you know what I mean? And so we give Will Jones, we give him 10, 15 young men that are trying to figure out which way they're going to go on that crossroads. You give them to someone like Will, you put them in an environment where they're supported, like there's nothing that they can't do.
Man, that is spot on, man. I love it. Yeah, and I got to plug this real quick. Wait, not that we're going, this is not the topic, but you mentioned Sarad, because I want to continue to point out like that spawn, like, you know, like how that works, man. It's like it is in the same vein. One thing that we've talked about, you know, Sarad with Vinegar Hill Magazine, for those that don't know, we're partners of them along with Charlottesville Tomorrow. So finding kids, and Dan, I'm gonna need you sooner or later on this, that's also interested in media. Kids who may think that they want to be rappers, but they may be writers in general, not just rappers. Kids may want to learn about radio, like, so making that some sort of paid fellowship and things of that sort to learn about it and get you into that field, that's something else that we can try to help our youth with.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that screams to me like the KIP program, the Community Attention Youth Internship Program, an incredible program that's been around for years. We have it during, I say we because I work for the city of Charlottesville, but we have it during the school year as well as in the summertime. I've had a couple of KYEP students that were basically worked with Clarence Green to then create some documentaries about Black male achievement, about their experiences inside of the Charlottesville City school system. And we have kids that have gone through that program that have literally come back because they went to like media school. Like one kid transferred from TCU to WashU University to then go to media school, and then was then back at Lighthouse Studios being paid as a person that was working there, right? And so we have kind of those opportunities to show them like you can get this internship experience. And I think that like honestly we're going to be knocking on your door to see if there's some kids that want to be a part of the radio and the media experience, because you start getting them to understand like there's more out there than what you can see, right?
Absolutely.
So if you don't see yourself in it, if you don't see yourself or people that look like you reflected in it, then you're going to think that, oh, that's just for other people.
Yeah, like you used to always say when I first met you, they'll be what they see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's stuck with me ever since.
And Razor, you know, like that's just it, man. Like the resource, right? It's like that's all part of it is being able like to see yourself and see a future. So I got to ask you, Razor, what's your story? First shared his story. You are a former barber. Do you consider yourself a former barber now?
Yeah, I'm retired.
You retired?
Yeah, I'm retired. Hey, Fernando, what's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, look, I was waiting because there's certain conversations that like only I can have with like Will, Fernando, Bam, right? Which people don't really understand. We had to be chameleons for every 15 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour. We had to change, so to speak, our personalities to fit whoever was in that chair. Because once we drape them from the head up, it doesn't matter if they're homeless or a colonel in the military. It's all the same thing to us, right? And we have to be able to have that conversation. So what you were talking about training, we get the training for free from so many different customers. Now, my question for Fernando, after you go through and you have children that you've lost, and they might be your age, but I'm just saying children, people that come to the barbershop, you've cut the grandkids' first haircut, you've cut the grandparents that have passed away. How do you download? How do you not take that home with you?
It's actually impossible to not take that home with you. That's somebody that that you take care of. As a barber, you take care of somebody, especially as they grow up. A lot of the times, like I have kids, and I already know, Reza, you already know how this goes. You'll give a kid a first haircut, they'll grow up throughout life. You cut their hair, you'll see them go to kindergarten, you'll see them go to middle school, high school, graduate, and it's a cycle of life. And when you're somebody's barber, you are taking care of them personally. It's one of the most intimate things that you could be with somebody. When you touch them, and it's another level of intimacy to a degree.
Yeah,
so
which relationships gonna end first. Who ain't getting along. Barbers and beauticians, we know so much. Now, one of the things that people don't understand, and I would urge that you really listen to Will and Fernando and other barbers that you come in, is that they have to, like I would always, my wife could tell you, even though my back was hurting from standing so long, I would sit in the barbershop for an hour or two at the end of like a weekend, right? Especially when you first build that, this is what I built. This is who I am. Like he said it saved him. In a way, it saved me too, you know what I'm saying? Because it brought me from out the street. I was still hustling. I was hustling haircuts, but it gave me purpose. There were people who I didn't fear the police anymore because they were coming to support my service. You know what I'm saying? So it really creates an ecosystem. Barbering is very important to the Black and brown community. Even when people just stop by to get a laugh or give a good word. One of the best things that was ever to me when I cut was for somebody to get their hair cut and then sit back down and try to enjoy the conversation. That's what gave me the most joy out of everything that I did. And I was like after school cutting in middle school. So I started when I was 12. Wow. And I just retired last year from the Clippers completely. My head, kids' head, everybody's head look bad now. Charles' head look bad.
Hey, Razor, what I like that you said, Razor, is that it gave you purpose. Yeah. And that's exactly what it did for me. You know what I'm saying? It gave me a purpose of just being a person. Like, what can I give to somebody else that is going to be effective, is going to make somebody feel better, and that you gain purpose behind being a barber.
Yeah.
And not only do people like sometimes stop by to have a good laugh, talk, but people also come by to grieve too.
Yeah.
And get stuff off their chest. And whenever they're down and sad and they just can't talk to anybody else, they come to the barbershop. And that pressure is put on you as a person, as a barber, but that's your job, to kind of comfort that person and whatever they're going through.
I done had grown men come and sit there and cry. And my wife is like, what are we doing for dinner? I'm like, I'll be there in a second. I got one more I got to do. And they, grown men just breaking down from situations that, you got to be there for them. Like, when they take the time to come to you to pay you, right? At a certain point, your skill is going to be taken care of. That. Yeah. But you become more than just their barber. Like, had I known the effect that I was going to have on the county that I left from barbering, I don't know that I would have retired if I'd have known that first. I have people that have stopped talking to me because I stopped cutting. Because one dude told me I needed my chore done. Like, I needed somewhere where I can drop my kid off when him and I wasn't getting along, so you could talk to him like you are holding my family together. And you just walked out on us. That's what he told. A grown man told me that. You just walked out on us. And he's like one of probably 26, 27 calls that I got of people telling me how I turned my back on them. Wow.
That's deep, man.
So let me ask the barbers in a room a question, and I'm gonna give you like a real life situation for you to compare the question to. Like, so for the barbers, would you get these young men in your chairs? Same ones that are out here in the streets, just going left, just living life wrong. When you get them in your chair, is there and you're talking to them, is there some reoccurring theme, reoccurring problem or thread that you see amongst all of the young men, teenagers, boys that you engage with when you cut their hair, used to cut their hair? And I'll tell you, now I'll give you a little story. Back when I used to work for the housing authority, that people, their lives were in shambles oftentimes. And after talking to so many people, I came to realize you just don't know. Like, you're making these mistakes because you just don't know. Nobody taught you. You just don't know. It's not intentional. You don't know. And so I'm just curious about when you've dealt with young men, the same ones that we're trying to capture right now and keep off the streets and have them, live a full life. Like, there's some reoccurring theme when you get into conversations with them of what they're missing or what they want or what have you.
You can go first, Fernando.
I feel like what I see a lot with young men, and when we say young men, I'm gonna talk 21 and under. A lot of these young men don't know what they want to do. They have no guidance. They have never seen, anything else out of their life than just being outside. There's nothing, they don't have a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of the issues come into place. They don't know what they want to do. And, they don't have guidance. They don't have anyone to look up to. When someone is under the age of 18, it's a little easier to talk to them and give them guidance. Once someone is into their adult years, they're just kind of doing them. And you could talk to them and kind of give them advice. But if they take any heed to it, is another thing. So when it comes to these young guys, we show them how we're living and what we're doing and how we have a purpose, and the life that they want to live can be easily done right here. So just creating that example of how you live and just having them watch you, they really love to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I'm the type of person, I like to drive fast cars. I like to dress nice, wear certain clothes that are, hip, that attract, the younger generation. And they love to see the way that we live. And that's just kind of creating that avenue. Like, all right, this right here could be something that you could do. But a lot of these kids just don't know what they want to do or want to be.
Right.
They've never seen
And that's the most
anyone that
difficult
looks
type
like
of people
themselves doing something like that.
to help because they don't know. There is no answer. So
mine, Max, was acceptance. I'm a little older than Fernando, so I'll take mine all the way up to say 38, 39. anybody underneath there, especially guys that have gotten out of prison, because I'm back in that age group where they were mass incarcerating, give people a lot of years. So he come out at 28, 29, he's still 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? So what they were trying to do was find acceptance. So go all the way down to the kids that look at me as Mr. Troy, to the other guys that I remember you win, to the other guys that say, man, I saw you on 29 News, and they was locked up with me, you know? So when I group all that together, it's acceptance. Acceptance is the reason that a lot of gentlemen come get certain haircuts. A lot of reasons some of the guys walked around with the real nappy haircuts with just the temple tape. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not that they wanted to walk around with their head nappy. It's just that for me to be accepted by girls, I need to look a certain way. For me to be accepted by guys, I need to look a certain way. For the ones who wanted to get into business, right? And they didn't want to be like shade tree mechanics, so to speak, to really look at themselves as a legitimate businessman, because they would come to me because their parents or their older people would say, that's somebody you need to go talk to. He didn't have the most smoothest pass. Go talk to him. So they're looking to be accepted by the people in their household that they respect. And because they sent them to me, you know, so everything that I dealt with, like Fernando said, they didn't know what they want, but then it got to a point where from say 38, 39 on down, it was, how can I be accepted? How can I be accepted into the community? How can I be accepted by women? How can I be accepted by my own children? So that I had one guy that told me, I want my kids to look at me like they look at you.
Wow. That's powerful.
That messed me up.
Yeah.
Because I was going through issues with my own kids. You know what I'm saying? But like another popular radio personality down here says, you know, perception is reality. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at them like, short, I'm over here struggling. You want to be like, who? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, you got to be crazy. But then I had to realize that, okay, whatever I was emulating to the community, I have to be that for them. I have to put on the mask. You know what I'm saying? When I cut the clippers on, I can't have a bad day. When somebody sits down, and Fernando knows this, we read people really well. So if a guy comes in and he wants to talk a lot, he's probably around people that don't talk to him. He can't express himself. For a guy that's real quiet, he's probably having to be pulled in several different directions. We're chameleons. We got to figure all these things out, right? And I have to be everything to everybody. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go another step further. And Barbara's going to hate that I say this. But for those that become barbers, you also have to make sure that you learn the word no when it comes to the single moms. Because they're looking at you pull out 100 ones like it's $1,000, like you got real money. You know what I'm saying? And you're always pleasant and nice because that's your job. Right. That's your act to make sure you get some tips. So for the barbers out here that have no restraint, you need to take time and pull yourself back, man, because you can mess up a child and that lady based off of the fact that she's looking at you as somebody that's better than what she's been dating, because she's only getting the good part of you.
That's true.
What were you gonna say, Fernando?
No, I agree with everything that he's saying. No, I was just agreeing with what he was saying.
Yeah. So Fer and Daniel, let's take a quick break and then we can come back and wrap up with, you know, with just sort of, you know, like the last words, man. Because my brain is going many directions. Because I feel like that we could, you know, just sort of end on talking about some of those goals that, you know, that was already mentioned as far as going forward from this program. Like that would be great. But just words of encouragement, man. Like that's always like what I want, because like we're saying, there's so many people that are listening to us is going through things to where like they may not have the same nucleus that we have. May not have a brother, you know, like they think that they can call. You know what I mean? So man, like so yeah, when we're here together, let's definitely see how we can leave some positivity and encouragement on these airwaves. But it's IMHO Talk Show, y'all. We are still here with Daniel Fairley, Fernando Gray, talking about the 100 Cuts program that they started, and much more for the city. IMHO Talk Show. Stay tuned.
Finally, a station with less talk.
Shut up, you're always talking.
And
Yeah,
more music.
that's y'all barbers. Got 'em.
Here we go, y'all.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion.
I am HO Talk Show, Sir Charles, Miss Max, Razor, and if you're just tuning in and listening the whole time, we appreciate you, and definitely tell a friend, because we man, I'm excited about this show. That there's just some shows, we love all of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're like kids, like you gotta love all of them. Like even if you don't love them all equally, you gotta say that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I should have said what I said during the break. I should have waited on the air, but I don't know if I can bring myself to say.
But man, but just today, because one of the ways I wanted to end it, man, was definitely, for Daniel and Fernando to definitely pitch and make sure that people know like what's upcoming, as far as like what their goals are and with the current program, free haircuts. But I just had to take a moment, because that's what's really getting me and was having me lost for words right now, man, because like one thing that Razor did mention, so I'm gonna kind of allude to it, so maybe that'll ease you in.
I didn't say nothing.
but it's like just the fact of like knowing these brothers, right? And like nobody's perfect, right? But to know that there's effort, and to know like that there's a support system.
Yeah. And accessible.
Right. An accessible support system. And really at the end of the day, man, like I think that's at least a lot of the times, if not most of the time, what we're talking about when we're trying to reach our generation right now that's finding themselves in gang violence and is finding themselves like committing crimes. I feel like that the main reason, and of course there's details like you may have known Will, you may have known Sarad, you may have known this person, that person, and they were able to help you out. But that's what it falls down to, is like if we as Black men, and I'm gonna be frank, are failing as fathers sometimes. If we are brothers or friends like that are unreliable sometimes, it's like just like our community needs money, just like family needs a resource of money, you also need that resource of emotional support. You know what I mean? And like that cannot be overlooked. So when we're talking about barbershops, it's like that's what that is a lot of times. Like that's what I heard Razor and Fernando say. It's like that's a place where I feel like I can go and have real conversation. I feel like I can leave my wife at home and maybe even complain about her a little bit if I need to. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute.
But I'm just using that as an example. You know what I mean? It's really boils down to resource. Because when I hear a brother say, all right, like there's a young person who may have a desire and a talent to be a barber. So then you connect them with someone like Fernando, right? It's like, so now that person has hope, whatever the case is. Or he may be like, man, Daniel's a great mentor. Like, I'm like, I know I can email him or call him. You know what I mean? And it's like while it sounds so simple, it's like so much of our community feels disconnected from that, man.
Can I simplify something
we
that
gotta
you just
figure out
said?
how to make those connections.
The barbershop is the only place that I know of for the Black and brown community that's a translator from the young kid, 2 years old, getting his first haircut, to the 78-year-old Black man, right? All of us are sitting in there telling stories, listening, laughing together. It just happens to be a hub where we can go. Now, it's unfortunate that we can't do the same thing on the basketball court.
Right.
Or we can't, you know what I'm saying? Because older people might not feel comfortable because of the aggressiveness that gets on at the park. You know what I'm saying? But the barbershop, especially if the barbers are respected and will not allow certain things to take place, you know what I'm saying? It becomes a place where everybody can sit inside there. Whatever topic we talking about, we'll cover the whole scope so that people can understand. Young people will actually come in and sit and listen to old people inside of a barbershop when they won't do it nowhere else.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I think going back to. Sorry.
No, I
Go
was
ahead,
just saying
Fernando.
to
My
follow
comment
up
can
with
wait.
Razor, the barbershop also for a lot of people of color, Black and brown, is it's the only place that's relatable that we could go to, especially in, predominantly white cities. As a person of color, the barbershop is the only place we could go to where we're not going to be looked at crazy for talking a certain way, dressing a certain way. That's the only place we feel comfortable. It's the only place we feel relatable.
It's
Because
the
you're a
green book.
barber, as a barber, the customers you attract are the people that are just like you most of the time. So it creates that level of being relatable. It's almost like one of those things, and I don't know if you guys could relate, but like, have you ever like walked into a place almost like a Starbucks or something? I know it sounds crazy, but and just didn't feel comfortable.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, facts.
That's a lot of places in areas like this where we don't feel comfortable going into because we can't relate to not anybody else in the room.
Yeah.
But when we go somewhere like the barbershop where it's like, oh man, I know him. I grew up with him. We went to school together, or I seen him grow up. Let me come here. It's all community based that we can feel comfortable and super relatable to.
It's our Travelocity.
Yeah, that's so important.
It's where we go. Like, it's when you come into a new town, like even when I was doing right and wrong, Black Barbershop was the first place I found so I could go, okay, where can I eat at? What part of town shouldn't I go to? What is there to do here? Like, that's your hub of information. It's not all these other places that are like, type this in and find out. No. Go to the Black Barbershop, they're going to give you the real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I had cut Max off. Max, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I was just gonna give a response to what Charles had said about, just kids or people feeling comfortable being able to reach out to their resources, or, mentors or what have you. And I think them feeling uncomfortable or insecure about that goes back to the exact same things that both Fernando and Razor mentioned a little while ago. So it's them being insecure, not knowing, right? And it's also a matter of being vulnerable and being accepted, to Razor's point. And that starts embedding something like that, or fostering something, cultivating something like that in a kid starts very young. Right. It is extremely hard to do when the kid is walking around 16 years old and then you're trying to put those fundamental things in them. Right. And that's one of the reasons why I always, I don't know, like raise an eyebrow a little bit about some of the programs that's meant to support kids that don't start until they're like 6th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. Like, you have to get these kids early. You have to put those things in them early so that we don't get to this point and then they running around trying to figure out who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, and how I'm gonna get there, Yeah. So,
and really the bottom line is like the resource and the support that we all are here talking about giving. Like, we realize that that's the resource and support, at least appears to be the resource and support. Let me rephrase that gangs give.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so when we wondering, like, why would this kid want to be involved in that? It's like, that's exactly why. Because, like, that's my brother. He got my back. I call him, he there. You know what I mean?
It's part of the revolving door for prison too. So,
absolutely.
Like, when somebody goes, if you say, I've seen people, like, I was from a more affluent family. I just like doing dumb stuff. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told. But
at least you're honest.
Yeah, I ain't gonna be lying about it. It's gonna come out anyway. So it appealed to me. Like, I had a thirst for negativity. I loved it, honestly. But I was around people that had no choice. And there were people in there that would not eat 3 meals a day until they were locked up. There were people that were in there, granddaddy, daddy, and son, generations inside of prison, that was the only time they spent time together. That in the barbershop. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to what you're saying about gangs, more often than not, the negative places that make us spend time together is where a lot of male Black love is.
That's facts. That's facts.
And the barbershop can actually be a positive place, right? So I think that's the important part about the barbershop. Because you said it earlier, hustling haircuts. Right? You can tell. I mean, there have literally been people that have been in and out of Fernando's shop that were barbers where, like, I would go in and I'd see Julian always cutting hair, always just trying to figure out, standing next to Fernando, being like, okay, how are you doing this? Hey, I got a question about this specific razor, like, you know, things like that. And I saw him hustling, and I was like, yo, he's like here, like he is really, I mean, like he had no license, like he's still like working on trying to get that together, but like he was hustling. And I saw other people that were there that were just kind of like, oh, you know, they be hanging around, or I'm gonna go grab something to eat, or I'm gonna go, you know, walk around this way or do that or do that. Never had anybody in their chair. And like, you're not gonna make it. You're not going to make it if you're not sitting there hustling. And like, people have that mentality. You need a way to feed that, right? You need a way for them to do that positively and to be able to say, like, there is a space where you can do this legally, where you can be a hustler legally. Like you can hustle haircuts. You can be here and be a part of this group of people, like the people that are there in the barbershop that you're seeing every day, that you're communicating with, the clients that come in on a regular basis. Like I come in every Tuesday, I know exactly who's going to be there. Like there are times where you're able to see that special space that just kind of is created in a barbershop that you may only find either in jail, you may only find inside of a gang. Like you can create that space, that environment inside of a barbershop that's going to be a lot more helpful and a lot more proactive in making sure that people feel loved and cared for, so they're not going out looking for something else.
I didn't know how to love black men until I got into the barbering world. And that was honestly to be able to see and care that you were going through a relationship, that this one lost their child. That, you know, like I would have people drop their sons off and say, like, I can't talk to them, you know what I'm saying? And then the whole barbershop would engulf themselves to try to say, man, what's going on? That's right. Make them talk, right? But prior to the barbershop, I didn't love black men. Like, you know what I'm saying? But there was stuff that I didn't love about myself. So it was easy for me to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a thing. Like, truth be told, it was anybody that knows me. No, it didn't take much for me to hurt you, right? But I was dealing with stuff from me. My father was in my life every day, always there. He was the product of who's the people that we have on earlier? Foster care. Okay. So I was the child of a foster care child. Wow. People don't talk about it. That's a rough life too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the I'm gonna say self-hate that I had, I could easily put on you and blame it on something else that you was doing. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't until the barbershop where I was actually able to feel for other people and see a guy get out the chair and his confidence level come up because he looked a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like he know he looked good. You know what I'm saying? So to see that confidence in a person makes the barbers feel good, makes the other people inside the shop feel good. Yeah. And then they're more receptive to positive things.
Yeah, let me go ahead and tell this story real quick if you don't mind. And this is a very vulnerable story that I'm going to tell. When I was 21, I had just turned 21. I had spent a few weeks over in the Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail. And I had gotten into some trouble in the street or whatever. But I was a barber, of course. And, you know, jail is a tough time. You know what I'm saying? You got your family out here. You don't know what's going on. You just don't know what's going on, and everybody has this tension. The one day that only felt like there had some normalcy to it is when the Clippers got brought out. And when the Clippers got brought out, we pretty much turned the pod into a barbershop. You know what I'm saying? It was me and another guy. We were cutting hair, and everybody just felt normal just for a second. Like we forgot we were there in this place where, you know, it's an all-time low. And I'll never forget just those couple hours when we were able to do our thing. Everybody just felt normal. Everybody just felt like loved on for a second. You know what I'm saying? They got some confidence back. And I'll never forget just what those Clippers did at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So it's a skill set that you could really take anywhere you go with you to bless others. And like you said, if you need to hustle, you need to make some money. I was doing haircuts for a bag of chips, for a thing of soups.
Noodles.
And it's, you know, it's just so beautiful what a pair of Clippers can do, you know what I'm saying, in any environment.
It's a gateway. It's a gateway to the livelihood and the emotions of the people in the barbershop. Wow. it's not, sometimes we have to focus on the person in the chair, but more often than not, the person in the chair comes into the ecosystem that fosters healthy relationships, healthy talking, who looking for a job, what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Can I drop my kids off here while I go run and do something? It can be our daycare, daddy daycare. You know what I'm saying? Like, we experience all of that, right? And it's really something that, like I said earlier, at a certain level of barber, not every barber can have these kind of conversations.
Right.
You know, because the trust level from the community only goes to the best barbers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have to have the skill set, and you have to be able to communicate with people, and you have to be a committed.
Did you know all of this went behind a set of clippers, Daniel?
Man, I
Yeah, that's what I said.
I felt it, but I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I felt that that
Right.
experience. I could feel it. I knew. I mean, even thinking about my own growing up, I had Mr. Marcus. He was my dad's barber, and he was my barber. Like, he was someone that, like, I mean, that was where we went to on Saturdays. Like, I go see my dad every other Saturday, and we go to Mr. Marcus.
You're
stay in the shop forever.
You're raising up about Lawrence Beasley. Lawrence, man, I'm telling you, man, like, it's crazy we talk about this because I don't like recollect that enough, and I should. But now that y'all talking about it, like, just being a little kid, a toddler, and just like
that was your big boy.
Yeah, you know,
The first time
like
you
the
sat in the
memories.
chair, hey Fernando, you know when that kid, you don't have to use the high chair no more, and they sit. How proud the dad be, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just a smile, man. Or you do a little on their first haircut. You fill out a little certificate and hands up. Man, they graduated.
Yeah. But but Daniel, to your point, I'm gonna give it to you to to close this up. But the nostalgia that's actually in my gray matter is like is deep because like that, like I remember those like those OGs in the community like talking about business, like talking about work. You know what I mean? Like that really shapes and molds the child. Just sitting, you think that kid playing and ain't listening? They listen.
They don't, and it also gets back to if the real guys would come back out when there's a problem in the community. Back when I was younger, that's when it would be fixed. Like the ball would be like, I'm gonna get such and such a call. And we're going back. What happened? They knocked Miss Who down? All right, I got it. You know what I'm saying? So it also was judge, jury, and advocate when I first came along too. You didn't want your name floating around certain barbershops in a bad light. I can tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but hey, so Max and Razor, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this segment. But I wanted to
I might pull my clippers back.
I'm lying.
Hey.
But Fred and Daniel, thank y'all for joining us again, man. But let us know if there's any upcoming events, cuts or anything that's happening. Let the folks know.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you all for so much for having me again. I appreciate it every time I get to come on here because literally, I mean, there'll be times where I talked to y'all last time with me and Bert, and you're talking about getting the men together. I went to an event and literally like 4 people stopped me before I even got into them and be like, "Yo, I just heard you on the radio. Like, in my humble opinion, that's so dope."
That's awesome.
So I appreciate what y'all do for the community. Y'all give us a platform in this space to share what we have going on. So definitely, like, we have Albemarle High School, get ready. We coming to y'all tomorrow. We're gonna be there. Fur cuts, everybody, Jew, Kevin, everybody's gonna be there. So we have fur cuts, everybody coming out on Albemarle High School tomorrow at 4 p.m. Be on the lookout. And then on Wednesday, actually, we're gonna get started. We had a couple of these meetings before, the Charlottesville Alliance for Black Male Achievement. We had a meeting in November, we had a meeting in January. We're gonna have another meeting on March 1st at 8 a.m. at Buford Middle School. So that's March 1st, 8 a.m. Buford Middle School. That is gonna be an opportunity for us to come together and start actualizing some of the conversations that we've been having. This 100 cuts came from one of those meetings. It came from us kind of figuring out, who has resources, who has skills, and then putting those together. So we're trying to do that and then double it and then triple it and then make it just keep expanding across the community, focusing on after school activities, employment during and after high school, sports, volunteering inside the schools, like all of that's going to be happening. That's going to be from 8 to 8:30. We're actually going to be greeting the kids as they come into Buford, giving them a little bit of love like we did at CHS, and then having a meeting after that focused on making sure that we are actually really giving back to this community and engaging in a way that we are connected, right? That our community sees us and sees Black men and sees Black people as a force that is connected and that's loving them, that sees what's happening, and that isn't ignoring it. right? We're not just going to say this isn't happening in our neighborhood. This is happening to our community. And like, we need to be there. We need to show up, because if we don't care about ourselves, and who will? Right. So that's a big part of like getting that together. So that's happening on Wednesday. Make sure y'all come out Wednesday morning. Keisha's going to be catering. Shout out to Keisha Royalty Eats. And so like, I'm really excited, honestly, to get together and to talk through all the things we have going on. And then all of a sudden, so then we're also going to be getting, like I said before, kind of getting some things together where people can be able to sponsor cuts, right? So we have a GoFundMe account. So if you go to GoFundMe.com and honestly just type in 100 cuts, then you're in there, right? You're gonna be able to find your school. It's all the middle school and high schools inside of the city and the county. You can donate to your school, and then we go ahead and keep these cuts going.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Sounds good to me. So, all right, so family, y'all stay tuned. And please remember those dates, and please tag us, Daniel.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Tag us,
Daniel,
absolutely.
so we can share it with the community. I am HO family. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for the bottom of the show.
Hey, I'm gonna let Ty in. We get Ty take a picture of us, and then Daniel, if you can take a picture of us and Ty. Get them jokes.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles, Miss Max Razor.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion
with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
There we go, Max.
Celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Right here. Yo. 101.3.
Yeah. And Razor, I know Almighty probably usually plays that like before he plays some good old classic hip hop. But I wanted to play it because we got one of the boroughs
That's right.
represented right about now. Give it up. That's right. Give it up for our man, Ty Cooper in the building with us.
Yep. I'm here, man. I'm here on my favorite show, my favorite radio show.
Oh,
Always appreciate you guys. I'm invited. Oh, there she is.
I told you.
So we'll give Miss Max the credit for that.
The queen of the show. She's here. Oh, Max.
I appreciate it. What's up, Ty?
I'm good.
Yes, indeed. So, thank y'all for joining us all show. And like we said, the bottom of the show too, we got another fan favorite, another frequent guest on the airwaves, none other than Ty Cooper from Short Shot. And man, you got so many brands. When I was putting together like the promo, man, I was like, is he Short Shot? You know what I mean? Like I still see like United Nations of Comedy everywhere.
Yeah.
I be seeing Live View Marketing and Media.
Yeah.
That man's what you call an entrepreneur, right?
All that.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, man, I don't want any of those identities to go away.
There you go.
If you see them go away, then you know I have a problem.
Yeah, man. But definitely on top of our list today to make sure the folks know about and get excited about is the Indie Short Film Series 10. Is that that's right?
Yeah, it's
the 10th one.
It's the 10th installment.
Okay, 10th installment, 2023 Sundance Film Festival official selections will also be screened. 7 to 8 short films, in-person panel discussion with filmmakers, Audience Choice Award. This will be going down at Vinegar Hill Theater. Y'all know that on Market Street. Saturday, March 4th. Begins at 7 p.m. on Saturday, March 4th. You can get your tickets online at indieshortfilmseries.com. And so we are joined once again by the man, Ty Cooper. Man, so Ty,
I appreciate it.
Man, like sort of give us the background on this and, to get the folks excited and let them know what to expect and how to support.
Yeah, it's a good event, man. If you are a filmmaker, if you're a film enthusiast, if you like, art, then it's an event that I put together, man, to provide a platform to indie filmmakers, So it could be a small filmmaker who you're just shooting a phone and moving with your phone, or it could be someone who has a $100,000 budget for a short film. And a lot of people see short films is the pathway to get into filmmaking. You know what I'm saying? It's a space in filmmaking where you can invest the least amount of money to create and express yourself. Write a script. It could be a minute long. It could be 30 minutes long. And you do that. You put that on, and you get better. You get to learn the process. You get to learn how to raise money. You get to learn how to work with people. And even my granddaughter, she's 8 years old, and I have her in the Vinegar Hill, the Lighthouse Studios film camp. This past summer, and I'm gonna have her again in this summer. Okay. So I just love art and I love creatives. I like to give a platform to people.
That's right, man. And like, so what about yourself? What Ty Cooper films will we get to see here?
Actually, in this one, I have Runaway. I produced Runaway. That's an Eric Hurt film, and we had Eric Hurt here a year ago. Yeah, a year before we started shooting it, and so I told I asked you guys then. I said, look, man, we got to come back when the movie is done. So the movie screened at the Virginia Film Festival, and now I'm screening it, the next Saturday, Saturday, the 4th, March 4th. But also, Amanda sold out 2 screenings at Vinegar Hill Theater when I debuted it, when I premiered it, and it's been traveling, different markets, it's touring. This is the second leg of the tour. So last week we was in the Eastern Shore, Cape Charles, Virginia. And then on March 3rd, we're going to be in Galax, Virginia. This is Southwest. Yeah, you heard of that place? I never heard of that place.
Yeah, man, I've heard of it. Yeah, like so I'm familiar with Southwest, like through my work, like with telehealth.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I travel down there.
Yeah, I didn't know the place. I never heard of the place. Yeah. And then the next day, I'm bringing the shorter version because it's a 45-minute piece, right? That I screen, that I tour with. But for the indie short film series, I'm bringing the 20-something minute piece because it's too long to kind of put into all these other films that I'm showing.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Hey, if I'd known you were gonna be over at Cape Charles too, man, I would take a vacation.
Yeah, you should have. It had
some nice waters.
A lot of empty Airbnbs were there.
Oh, man, yes,
it's seasonal. It's a seasonal place.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep up next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that is exciting stuff.
I got a question, y'all.
Yeah, yes, sir.
How difficult is it when I talk to people that write books and stories? Like sometimes they ascend and they got great work, but then they can never find that next book that's going to get them published. How difficult is it when you come to like your short films, and it just seems like you do so much? How do you decide what you're going to do next? Because your work doesn't seem to overlap and just be like typecasted. You know, when I was looking through some of the things that you've done, they all are kind of different.
Yeah.
So how do you incorporate that into the eye of being able to see something?
Well, I'm really, the simple answer is that I'm a storyteller. So I'm always looking to tell a story.
Okay.
But I'm always looking to tell an impactful story. I don't just tell stories, you know, just like, I try to make things relevant and relatable to people. So for instance, Amanda, it's a movie about a young woman whose mother died from cancer when she was 9 years old. She's experienced that trauma, never got, help, never got therapy, which she needed, because she's a painter and she's expressed herself and she dealt with her trauma through her artwork. And you'll see some of her artwork is kind of dark. If you see the movie, you'll see that the last piece that she's been working on, and she's been having trouble because she's been having, this trouble. I don't want to give stuff away.
Yeah.
But so she's sitting, she's sitting on her couch after having an episode one evening, and she's looking at the painting that's in the corner, that's on the floor, and she says, "I hear you." She said, "What are you trying to say to me?" She said, "I hear you." And she picked up that painting, which is dark, and she put it on the canvas, replaces what's on the canvas she's been working on. She replaces it, and then it fades to another scene. And it's stuff like that. It's kind of like we always have things that talk to us, right? I had many family members die from cancer. My mother beat cancer in 2018. My father currently has cancer right now. So for me, it's a difficult story for me to tell, but I always try to give a piece of me. So when I'm working on other projects, I don't try to necessarily repeat the same story. So I'm always giving something fresh, but I'm always giving something that can, that's very relatable. I know every good story is relatable. It doesn't mean that every relatable story is good, but every good story is relatable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's why me as a filmmaker and a storyteller, that's why I try to encapsulate.
That is deep.
That's a good point, because I was going to ask you, how does a person decide what story to tell?
Yeah.
But you're saying that it should be relatable.
Yeah, it definitely. But any good story is going to be relatable. So you want to make sure that you can touch. Ray's over here, Charles or Max. You want to have something that's going to be able to touch them. We all know people who die from cancer, right?
All too well.
Either in our family or a friend or associate or a co-worker or a neighbor. So you already could start there. You already know that you're going to have a shared story, a commonality with other human beings. And then Amanda is not just about cancer and all that stuff, but it's about art. It's about community. She goes to this coffee shop every day. That's her coffee shop. She got her own table there and everything. And she had people who love on her, and they give her new boyfriend or her love interest a hard time because everyone's protecting Amanda, right? And Pharrell was played by David Strong. That was here. And so that's how I write. But some people may write differently. I just kind of make sure that I tell stories that I know people can connect to. I'm writing a story now about a white cop killing an unarmed black teenager, which is unfortunately regular for us in this society today. But what's not regular is that he's married to a black woman and he have interracial kids. So you don't know if he's racist or not. But I tell people you can't write off that he's not racist because he was a black woman, because you had Thomas Jefferson who had slaves and who impregnated a black woman, and stuff happens all the time. So you can't just say he is, but you can't say he's not. But that film is not about that. It's about the inciting incident is the shooting and the killing. But what it is about what happens to his son. It's like almost like the sins of the father. So that's it was gonna be called the sins of the father, but it was too biblical sounding, so I changed it to Stain.
Okay. That's deep.
That is.
Now, one last question for Charles Go. These children out here that want to be rappers, right? When you said something about a storyteller, do you think maybe it's a market for them to be able to take the raps that they have, somebody cultivate them, maybe not make them so dark, and somebody else be able to take those raps that they make and make those into short film.
Yes, man. Yo, see, what happened is that through lack of education, because see, the more educated you are, the more opportunities you see, right? So you see opportunity through education typically. So sometimes, quite often, when you have people taking one route that's familiar to them, they're afraid to take other routes because they maybe appear to be too hard and they don't know about it. So if you don't know about an opportunity, then you're not going to jump on it per se, right? Unless someone really come to you.
Yeah.
These rappers, they are storytellers.
Yeah.
Yep.
We should do that.
These rappers are not, yo, man. These rappers are not. These rappers are not killing people. These rappers are not. They don't have Bentleys and Ferraris and Lambos and all that. They don't even have a house, right? So they are. But hey, these rappers are telling these raps.
Yeah.
And you believe it.
They lie.
You buy it. Yeah, they lying. Like I said. But what I'm saying is that they are they're so good at liars.
Yeah.
So good at storytelling, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you out. Like.
They're so good at it though that hey, if someone could just hone that and be like, look, let's make a movie.
We should do that though. We should reach out, like say next year.
I'm hard though.
And
I'm hard though, man.
No,
but the work.
You gotta give them something to shoot for.
Yeah, but the work ethic gotta be like for me to really deal with it. Like I'm so hard. I'm not hard, actually. No, you know what? I'm not hard.
Yeah.
I just have a certain
expectation.
Yeah. And people look at me as being like, oh man, but no, I'm just like, no, this is what we do. This is a craft. Respect the craft.
That is a problem in the Black community. Expectations.
Yeah, you gotta have expectations
for our kids is a difficult thing because we already have so many hurdles.
That's my granddaughter. She knows. She knows my expectations, and it's tough. You know what I mean? But I groom though. See, I groom. Like I try to groom my granddaughter and provide opportunities, right? The same I did for my daughter and everything. That's how she got into Virginia Tech. Like, I mean, it's all the things that I try to do for mine.
Yeah.
So just like me having my scholarship, my family scholarship fund that I started back in Harlem, I'm trying to provide opportunities for them. Yeah. I'm trying to help support them while they're in college.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not a wealthy man, so I just give what I have. I give it all. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But there gotta be expectation, because if you don't have expectation or you can't instill an expectation in them for themselves,
100%.
I mean, come on, man. What levels are we hitting? Like, are we?
Yeah, 100%.
And so when I say I'm tough and hard, I'm not impossible. Yeah. I'm not impossible. I'm not like that. I'm not a prick. Well, some people say I am, but I'm not.
A lot of people say you are.
Yeah, a lot of people say I am.
A lot of people say you are.
But that's what got me here today. That's why I'm on this station right now. That's what got me in the position to do the things that I do. I just have to do, but I'm not really hard, man. I love people.
Yeah, facts.
I'm an introvert. To be honest with you. I like to be home and chill. That's why you don't see me out a lot. Like I force myself to go out to, just to show my face, to show people that, hey, I support. It's just that I'm just not. I'd rather be home or on the trip. I'd rather be in France or somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Or even Annapolis. Like I don't gotta go far to be happy. Yeah. But I gotta get the hell out of here sometimes. You know
right.
Like just for my sanity, because this is where I work at. I put a lot of work into Charlottesville.
Yeah.
So but that's what it's about though, man. So I support. If you can wrangle people together, I support it, no doubt about it. But they gotta work though. Like when I said, like if they say we bring some people together, like yo, man, I gotta write this script. The script gotta be the first draft gotta be due in 5 days. Yeah. Like I'm not looking at it on the 6th day.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it on the 5th day. If it's not ready, then
that's all right.
I'm done.
Yeah,
and
right.
We need
that kind of discipline, though, right?
Now, I personally
think
that's a great idea, right? Because our community, the next leaders of our community, young Black men and Black women, have to have a certain level of expectation for themselves that is not connected to the social media. You know what I'm saying? The like should not tell you if I'm accomplishing something. It should be, okay, I was eating noodles, now I'm eating hamburgers.
Right.
Then I get hamburgers, now I'm eating steak.
Right.
Now, when I really get money, I might eat hot dogs because I got a choice. Right. But without expectations and benchmarks, it's going to be hard for anything that we create to sustain.
Let me say something. It's all about one thing. The main thing, though, in this business to be successful, it's about discipline. Discipline is the key.
Yep.
Me, like I'm fasting right now. I'm doing a 3-day fast. You know, no food, no nothing, no one day eating after dark. No, just water for 3 days.
Yeah.
Because if you can sustain from food, because we're addicted to food. Our enzymes in our body, my enzymes right now, it's like, yo, my enzymes like, yo, where's that food at? Like, what is going on? Like, what are you doing? You haven't did this in about 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I used to do it at every 3 months, it was regular. I haven't did it in probably actually more than 6 months, longer than 6 months. So I had to check myself. I had to be like, yo, Ty, yo, you out of control.
Yeah.
Like something, you're eating too much, something's going on. Like, what is it? Is it your responsibilities? Is it the, you know, the building of the new house? Is it the business? Is it
you call that life?
Yeah. Like, what is it though? But it gotta be, you gotta check yourself. So it's something that I wasn't doing right. At least I didn't feel as I wasn't doing right. Something was off kilter. And I was like,
that's what's up.
Let me pick up my God's Chosen Fast book, and let me just get back into it. Something's up. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna find out what it is through this process.
Right.
You know,
It brings clarity to you.
It brings clarity, man. Fast and prayer. I'm not trying to tell people to be religious and all that. Or what, you know, if you're Buddha or Christian or Muslim or whatever. But for me, fast and prayer answers all of it. So when we talking earlier about you said a lot of people think I'm a prick. Yo, man, if I'm fasting,
you said I just agreed.
If I'm fasting, no, you scaled it. You scaled
yeah,
it. Like, you added more human beings into the mix of that. and that's fine. But if I'm
a lot of people say it though.
Yeah, a lot of people say it though. and as you and I talk from here and there, so you know that doesn't bother me. I actually
not at all.
I actually kind of like
it. Fuse.
Because I like it because I'm not doing anything to get that kind of energy from anyone.
That's right.
Like I'm just doing what I do. I'm not doing anything. I don't hang out in front of you in your barbershop. I don't hang around there and have be for 2 hours. I ain't being anywhere 2 hours unless I'm making money. So I'm not gonna be in your barbershop just hanging out or in your restaurant just hanging out talking. No, while you making money, I'm in your barber. What? So I'm not seen in that way. But that's fine.
Wait, so you know what?
Why you need to see me?
Yeah, it's like, you know what? It's like
see my work.
Right. And like the way that you saying that, like that mentality is at the same time what's so respectable about you. But it's like I've had to tell people that because like we're in the South, right? We're Virginia. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you, like there's Ty and there's a couple other people I ain't gonna name, they're not here to defend themselves. But I've had to explain that to people. I'm like, he's from New York, and they'll be like, oh,
I had to,
because they don't get it.
I had to defend him too.
I'm like, yo, the brothers from Harlem, man. Like, he got the hustler mentality,
no cut color.
Big city mentality. It's like he's about his business, man.
You're either a circle or a cage. That's what Ty. Ain't nothing else. You're either his circle or you a cage.
I want to say something. I haven't seen Charles around his kids, but I've seen you and Max around y'all, and those you guys are developing winners. Like I seen you with them. Like when we were shooting, one of the videos for United Way. I seen you. I'm very observant, man. I hang on to words. And I look and I'm watching. I'm always watching. When I'm anywhere, I'm just watching. I'm not even doing a lot of talk. I'm watching, and I admire it. I admire how you guys treat your kids, how you talk to your kids, and your kids are at your when you had to order up thing on the mall. Like yo, man, bro. See, I may not give you your flowers because sometimes I take for granted that people already know how I feel about them. like if I mess with you, I mess with you. If I don't, and I don't mess with anyone that's a deadbeat.
No, you don't.
So it's just what it is. So I really admire. I don't give you your flowers, but know that your flowers are there with me because I respect it.
Well, thank you, man.
Thank you.
I mean, I got a question. How come you never seen me with my kids? What you trying to say, Tom?
Yo, I don't know where you live at, man. I don't know where you be, Charles. Yo, I'm gonna tell you something. It's crazy.
Charles, don't go down this rabbit hole with him because he gonna answer.
Crazy. Can you vouch for me?
You're a great dad.
I always know you are, but I haven't seen you around the kids like that. Yeah, you know, like when I see you. You know, you representing an event. I see you on Facebook. I'm like, yo, I didn't even know about the event. See, they don't even tell me about the event.
Oh man,
I don't get the email.
Oh man, we gotta talk about that all man. I don't know about that.
I'm like, yo. I said, you kidding me? Like, yo, you had like almost 1,000 black people. Like, I wasn't invited.
The love symposium.
Yo, I knew about that because Kalina, but I didn't know about some other stuff. And I was like, yo, man. But my granddaughter came up during that weekend, so I had my granddaughter. So I couldn't go.
Yeah.
I live right down the street from me.
That's what's up. Hey man, but I tell you what, let's take a quick break and when we get back, for final segment with Todd, man, like I would love to talk about like some of the things you've done, like when it comes like the workshops and trainings.
Oh yeah,
I know you implemented some of that.
Yeah, I do
because definitely want to get your word, man. As well as like being born in a place like Harlem, New York, and then being down in Virginia for so long, the changes that we're seeing in our community, you know what I mean? And just like, I want to know your thoughts about that. And with all the work that you do, like just how we can maybe give some of that purpose and hope that we're talking about, maybe even through your craft.
Yeah, and I also want to talk to you about like all the bad stuff we got going on in the city right now. What's your take on it? Because you and I come from a different era.
Yeah. So. We beat Charlottesville beat New York in the murder rate.
That's crazy.
Yeah, how crazy is that? And it's a lot more people, but I'm just saying, still people like statistics, and that's one.
That's not a go.
Made national news again.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, family, that being said, please stay tuned. Don't want to miss it as we close out the show today with none other than Todd Cooper and talking about, mostly his indie short film series, but just, him and his marketing and media, as we've done all show, how we can continue to come together and put our work to good use in our community, Seville. So tell a friend, IMHO Talk Show.
Good stuff.
That was good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's good for the part.
Listening everywhere you go.
All right, Max, here we go. Come back on, family.
Hold on, wait. You're listening to In My Humble
Mm-hmm. Yep. Back like we never left. Sir Charles, Miss Max. And you still got time to tell a friend, tell them to look us up, IMHO Talk Show, stream us online, Facebook, YouTube, what have you. 101.3 Jam, WVAI on your favorite radio app. And because, you know, we still here with Ty Cooper, and, you know, he was telling us about this film series that he has coming up. And Indie Short Film Series, 10th installment is going to be 7 to 8 short films, in-person panel discussion with filmmakers, given the Audience Choice Awards. It's going to go down at the Vinegar Hill Theater here in Charlottesville on Market Street. That will be Saturday, March 4th, beginning at 7 p.m. And tickets are available now at indieshortfilmseries.com. So, you know, definitely thanks to, you know, to Ty and all that he does, and definitely being an example and a leader, right, you know, with all his accomplishments in the film industry. But that being said, Ty, man, like, want to definitely address, because a lot of folks' hearts are heavy, and, you know, like our listeners and our guests, you know, have all been chiming in on from where they come from when it comes to their expertise, right, and their career fields on how we all can be some sort of light, regardless of what it is we do, just, you know, like leaving things better than the way that we found them. Right. And I know that you're somebody that's always about that, you know, like leaving your mark here in this community, you know, so that this community is better than it was when you came here. And so that being said, man, like we've alluded to how, you know, on how like there's short clips, like whether it's YouTube's, whether we talking about TikTok, whether we talking about IG, you know, the Reels, all this stuff. Like when I think about short films, you know, as we were talking about during the break, like we have so many young people that are already doing like amateur versions of like short film, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so like, so when I think about that, so I'm need you to sort of compartmentalize what I'm saying, because I got like 3 points, like that's one, right? And that ties into, like, I know that in some of your events, like you've incorporated things like workshops for folks who want to learn more about the business, right? Like, so when you look at that, man, and you look at what's going on in our city, you know, I'm thinking, like, how can we bridge that gap? Like, what's one way that film and media, right, can find that young person that has that skill and talent and may not even know it, but that may be the one thing that they need to get on the right track. That may be the one thing that they can be like, oh man, like, you mean like when me and my friends out here acting a fool, and I know how to turn on my filters, and I know how to make a reel, and I know how to make a TikTok that goes viral. You mean like I could actually make money? I could actually like use that for something good? Like, those are the gaps that, you know, that I'm hoping like that we can bridge, you know, by having people like yourself on today. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so what's your thoughts around that, man? Like when you think about film and media and the impact that it can have on the next generation here?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people get into when rap started, right? It was a form of expression, right? You had people who were getting into rap because we were able to finally have our voice heard, you know, and actually go on the radio and hit other people when rap first started. And that was like the real purpose. We, you know, in New York, we we had because I'm a 70s baby, so I firsthand experienced this with Curtis Blow, Kumo D, Furious 5, Sugar Hill Gang, and all that, right? I grew up in Sugar Hill. So I've seen it firsthand. When I was young, oh man, how old was I? Probably like 8, something like that. Grandmaster Flash put me, because they used to do these battles in the park called the Battlegrounds, right? It's a basketball park, but the rappers used to battle, right? Back in the days, right? So he put me on there to scratch. I was like 8 years old. Like I'm scratching, you know, trying to do my thing. He'll allow me, you know, my family knew him and stuff like that. And I brought that up. I went way back to that because that's my childhood. And what's so important is to create the exposure, give the exposure to the children. So maybe we, and I say we because I sit on the board. I'm a board member of Lighthouse Studios. Maybe we need to do a better job in really getting to some of the more inner city youth, to let them know, or let their parents know that, hey, we have these camps, these workshops, these camps. The issue is that the camps cost, you know, it costs $400, and that's not cheap, right, for someone to just for a week-long camp. But maybe we can find some scholarships and or
Mhm.
more scholarships, and then really offer these scholarships to specific individuals.
Mhm.
So that's one way on the program provider
Yeah.
to try to support.
Absolutely.
But then we also need the community, the parents and stuff like that to really
Mm-hmm.
tell their kids like, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that.
Mhm.
Because a person like me, I can't enter your household.
Right.
No one could really enter the household of the child, right?
Right.
So we have to try to find a way to like reach the parents, say, hey, this caused this. This is a great opportunity. People are podcasting, and some of these young kids or even teenagers, they favorite podcasters, right? They got Nori, they got Nori,
Right.
Drink Champs, they got $1 Million for Game, they got all these other podcasters, men and women.
Mhm.
So they definitely like, but they don't know how to do it.
Right.
And we have programs in this town. Well, I'm not going to mention on this radio station because competitive stuff, right?
Definitely,
But
you
you
can.
have radio stations that have podcast camp
Mhm.
and radio camp,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's opportunities out there, but we got to somehow, like you said, bridge that gap and link the people.
Yeah.
So we can provide, and I can provide, like, avenues. I have it's 100% free for people. I charge the school, right? I charge PPCC, but I put on a filmmaking workshop.
Right.
Right. And it's a great workshop. It's a lecture. So I'm lecturing with the PowerPoint, and then I break up the participants into groups, and then I give them each assignment, right? So we create a topic, then you got to research it. So I give them 40 minutes to go on Google, research it, come up with interview questions and all that, right? And choose someone in their group to be the expert. And then I bring them all onto the stage, separate time, because they all shooting separate documentaries or documentary style videos. And then when they come on the stage, I'm teaching them how to set the composition with the camera. I'm teaching them how to mic the person on the body. I'm teaching them how far and where to place the boom mic. And then I have 3 light sources on stage, and I'm teaching them where to place the light, how you get Rembrandt lighting, all the different types of. I'm teaching them hands on.
I'm surprised that you said
and it's free. It's free.
Ty, I'm surprised that you said that, right? What the part that got me was when you said about I can't go into the home, we got to reach the parents. How do we get this here? It's what they've been trying to erase, and what you're describing is a trade. So what we really need to do with these people going into office and city councils and things of that nature is to make them put money back into the trade school. The curriculums have changed, okay? So not everybody wants to go to college, and not everybody is cut for that. Fernando said it earlier. He knew he wasn't prepared to go to school, so he went into barbering. Having something like what you have in the trade school, so the children that are going to school anyway can go over to the trade school during working hours to learn, like you're almost forcing them, but to have to do it after hours, and they might got to watch their little brother, little sister, prepare stuff for mom because she's working 2-3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? I think it's very simple. All these things that have made Black people great in the past were trades. The government can't control it because they can't tell us, like I said, how much wire to pull, how many cars to wash, how many bricks to lay. So how many movies they can make, right? So we bring back the strength of trade schools, and then that will give our children an avenue. The second that we started pushing away trade schools and made it all about academics, we just increased the population from like pre-K to prison pipeline because of healthcare, all the different other facets that hold our community back. Not everybody is a Charles, Ty, or race. You know what I'm saying? And I just mean the opportunity. Everybody, that's all I mean by that. So where do we meet them at? They're going to be at school anyway. They're not learning what they want to learn because they don't see where it's going to apply in their life. We open back up the trade schools the way they used to be. Like every county had a trade school. We put in what the market is for right now. We make the cities fund these things, and then we give our children something to do. It's very simple to me.
You know what I hear in that, Razor? Like, thank you for those comments.
Yeah.
You know what I hear in that is that we have to be purposeful. And too many times the initiatives are purposely negative, right? And so here's the thing: it's the negative side is being is being purposefully negative. But sometimes we on the other side who wants to be positive, we don't know that they're purposely negative, and you get a lot of excuses. Like, so what I mean by that is I've ran into so many organizations in this town because we got the resources. Anybody says that we don't, is lying about that part. The thing is, it's like, are we purposeful with those resources? Meaning that there's groups that have funding, like when Ty was mentioned, okay, like things have costs. They absolutely have costs. There's groups that have funding to help populations that we're talking about, right? But if all you see is those are people that I don't know and it costs, then you ain't gonna try because all you see is I don't know those people, don't know how to approach them, and it costs money that I ain't got. So the people with the money,
we can't,
and the initiatives have to be purposeful when it comes to the accessibility.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Ms. Max.
Yeah, no, all of that is true, both what you and Razor said. I just wanted to add that, we can't forget that we do have a KTAC that is teaching trades and certifying kids. I don't know much about it, but, that's their whole focus is teaching trades and certifying kids and different things. But and I don't know what all the different trades are that they offer. But what I do know is that we do have to be intentional about offering trade skills in areas that kids this day and age are actually interested in.
Max, hopefully you go, Ty. Max, one of the problems in the state of Virginia is that the trades that are predominantly Black and brown have been the ones that they've been pulling out of the trade schools.
Bro, let me say this. Like my guy just texted me too, and I felt to mention this about him. This guy who I love, I admire him, I love him. That's like my brother, man. He's a really good dude. But Damani Harrison, Damani created the music industry, this class, or this program.
That's right.
And he created it for KTAC. He created it, then boom, then bounced it to KTAC, and KTAC assumed it and have it, as part of their, curriculum.
Okay.
One of the curriculums and stuff like that for the trade. And so I don't know how many people enroll or how they get the word out to, the families that they get out through the schools. And sometimes, how sometimes when you're dependent on a child who's in school to get information, bring information. A lot of times, yeah. So you gotta be one of those parents to be, in the school, to be like, okay, give me all the program. What do y'all have for my child? And then you have a lot of kids that's not like that, and they wait for their kids to bring stuff home. But then, and then when they finally if they hear about it,
it's too late.
It's man, the camp is closed. Or this opportunity is closed. Why you didn't give me that? Oh man, I didn't know. They're a liar or whatever. But Damani, man, like he's another person who really did a lot for these kids. He worked at Music Resource Center and did a lot. I mean, oh my God, he did he's happy what he's doing now. But I know this brother. I know he loved kids.
Absolutely.
So I know it eats at him a little tiny bit that he's not like still in that space. But he got a family. That man got a house, family. Kids, you know what I'm saying? So you got to make the money.
Yeah, much love to Glitch, my man. Glitch.
Yeah, Glitch won. I'm always mad at him anyway because he's like, man, he drive me nuts. He's like one of the best. Him and Lou.
Oh yeah.
Waterloo.
Shout out to Waterloo.
They're like my favorite.
They're
my favorite rappers here.
Yeah.
Right, and I have a couple others. But he's like my favorite. They're my favorite, and man, and they take too long to come up with music. Too long, bro. I complained to him for years. I wanted another Beatniks T-shirt. I didn't get that. So
put him out there, Tom.
Yeah,
you heard that, the
full disclosure. You feel me? Full disclosure, man.
Yeah. So that's like a perfect sort of tie-in and connection to that. Okay, like so. On one hand, the structure has to be there, like the institution, the program, whatever you want to call it, has to be solidified, has to be intentional, as Max said. But then it's the community, and that community includes the family and the parents.
Yeah.
Right. And like Ty said this, Ty said, like, what would you say, Ty? Like I can't go into your house.
I can't go into the house.
Right.
I could try to meet them somewhere, but I don't.
Yeah,
it's not the easiest.
Yeah, and that's the other half of it. So my thing with that is like when you talk about people knowing about the programs, because I definitely didn't mean to slight in any way people who are putting the work. Because we got plenty of people putting in great work, putting together great resources that can help. But then that's when the other half of that equation is the community and the parents, because just like we quick to spread the word about a shooting or a brawl at the school, let's be as quick to spread that word about the good things our kids are doing or the resources that could be helping, not just the negative lights.
We don't have a lot of people that's good parents though. Like, I mean, honestly, we don't have good.
Tell it like it is.
Just because you have a baby,
It's
don't
hard
make
to
you
be
a
a good
parent.
parent. In defense of the bad parents, it's hard to be a good parent.
It's very hard.
It's hard
it's
work.
hard. Yeah, it's hard work, man. Especially we have a lot of single parents too, man. It's really tough.
Yeah, like, but shouts out to the parents, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, because that is definitely a hard job. And it, and it is fragmented.
Y'all
right?
always
But
trying
like
to
the
pillow
results.
talk.
No, it ain't
Yeah,
pillow talk,
y'all
right?
is.
Because check it out. Because you know as well as I do, Ms. Reyes, you know as well as I do. We've had some hard-headed kids.
Yeah.
As hard as we try, we be like, Lord, what you did today at school, I hope people don't think we do that at home. You know I'm telling the truth.
All right. Okay. Yes. We have losers out there.
Okay. Y'all come on to the dark side. Come on now.
But you have people who also just don't know. They are not in the know. They just they just don't know. And if you don't know something, it's like if I pick some random person and I say, yo, man, here's $1,000. Like, yo, where we gonna which stocks we gonna invest in? Or yo, do you know how to trade options? You know how to trade options? You know puts and calls? They're gonna be like, no, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if they don't know, they don't know. We can't expect them to know. We have to kind of like if we can touch them, get in front of them, and then show them something.
But see, Ty, that's
one thing I'm gonna say.
problem.
But here's the thing. One thing I'm gonna say right now to the parents that may be listening, who may be what do you call it, like squinting your face up or whatever because you're mad at what we're saying. The reality is what we're saying. All I'm gonna say to you guys is that I love you, right? And I don't blame most of you. But so all I'm asking you is to go into your kids' school and find out what programs that they hear about that's outside of the school, because Lighthouse connects to the schools because they know that's how they get information out to the kids. But we may not know that it's not getting home.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And then also sometimes you may have a guidance counselor because a lot of them are horrible.
Yeah.
They got pets. They got pet students who's like the apple, bring the apple to the teacher type of thing.
Right,
So that guidance counselor is not necessarily looking out for all.
Right.
And many of us of our color fall through that crack.
Yeah.
Because we're not trying to be in the guidance council. I know when I was in school in New York, I wasn't in no guidance council for hanging out like the other kids were. But the other kids damn sure got all the information they had to get.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Luckily for me, I had certain parents that were very active into
that's what it
takes.
Life.
And that's what it was. You know what I mean?
I think
so. Go to the school, parents. Go to the school. Find out what is going on. Find out if any programs in the summertime or anytime, anywhere, even during the school year from outside. What are those programs? How can I get in contact with the programs? And do you think those programs have scholarships?
Yeah, Ty, when it comes to that though, I think just touching on the guidance counselors, I think those are some of the worst jobs that you could possibly have because a lot of kids are left up to the decision of the guidance counselor telling them this is what you need to do. You may not be college material. You have that one person with a workload of 300, 400 kids, and they're deciding whether this child needs to be, what path this child is going to be on. The child may ask for what the parent said, and they be like, oh, no, that's too much for you. Like, I think that these guidance counselors are a lot of the detriment to but they don't get the light shined on them. I really feel like these guidance counselors are a big part of the problem inside the school.
They are a huge part of the problem. They are the problem. Quite often. Hey,
quite often.
Quite often. That's what I said.
All the time. All the time.
Yeah. To anyone, I have 10. I have 10 tickets to March 4th show. Showing for the indie short film series. But these 10 tickets that I'm putting out here right now, I don't have 10 tickets. I'm just because it's a conversation. I have 10 tickets I want to give out to kids, to teenagers. Who come and see these short films and it really just sit like, oh, you know what? I could do that. Like I could. It was how long was that? That was 6 minutes. That was 8 minutes. That was 12 minutes. I can do that.
Yeah.
Like just come and see. Call me. No, don't call me. Go to Indie Short Film Series. That's INDIE. IndyShortFilmSeries.com. and you'll be able to like contact me on that site. Just reach out to me. If you can reach out to the station's website. Well, we got one in my home.
101jams.com. But yeah, or else you can hit us. I Make Your Talk Show online.
Yeah, do that. So that
inboxes.
Do that. So that then I asked Charles to give me your names and stuff so I could put you on the list. I have 10. Right, I can't give you so much because it's already selling really well. Yeah, I want these youth that we talking about to see it. Just be in the building.
Y'all done touch Child's heart.
Yeah, because 10 times $2,200, like that's a bill. Yeah, I could pay a bill for that. So but I just kind of
appreciate that.
That's what's up. Yeah, I mean.
But now you got to talk to Almighty about running that the ticket giveaway now.
Oh yeah, No, this is for the kids though. And their parents.
Yeah. For sure, man. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end it because we up against the hour. We got to make room for Clee Logan in the Soul Lounge. Yeah. But Ty ended it perfectly because he plugged the event once again and doing a good deed. Appreciate you, my
Saturday,
brother.
March 4th at Vinegar Hill Theater, right downtown on Market Street. Doors open at 6. Showtime is at 7.
There you go. Miss Max, Razor, y'all good? Y'all straight?
Right.
And why is Max always home?
Great
Why
show.
is Max always home? Like,
we got kids and we good.
Because
I switch with us sometimes.
That's a team.
You know those good kids that you just complimented how well we were raising them. You know them kids.
Yeah. Hey, what you trying to say?
That requires some work.
See, that's when you know team quick. They quick.
That's right.
They come together, boy.
That's right.
Talk about our babies. Where your babies at? How about
I don't have one. I just got one grandbaby. That's enough. I'm good.
So Miss Max and Razor, till next time. I Make Your Talk Show.
Sir.
All right.
Did we impede on Please Show?
No.
Talking to Diet.